Happy Victory Monday, everyone. Bass here, and since it's Monday, you know what time it is. It is time to go over the PFF grades for the Packers' win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 3, 14-12. But before we dive into the grades, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on the giveaway I was doing. If you saw in recent videos, I was giving away that signed Brett Favre poster. I started that giveaway before all the Brett Favre stuff came out. Obviously, that's not going to be the giveaway anymore. We are changing that to something a little bit better, in my opinion. This is a signed Christian Watson helmet. You can see his signature right there. And there's certificate of authenticity right there. And this is going to be the new giveaway item, and it's going to go into next month. So instead of ending in, 5 days, it's going to end after next month. So everyone that has, applied for that giveaway will be put into this one. But if you are interested in entering in this giveaway to win this signed Christian Watson helmet, go to pristineauction.com, register on their website, use code BASS, B-A-S, at registration. Doing so will also give you a free $10 voucher. That's code BASS, B-A-S, at pristineauction.com to be entered in this Christian Watson signed helmet giveaway. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into the PFF grades. Usually I start on offense, but today we have to start on defense because this defense definitely won this game. So bringing up the screen here, we see at the top Devonte Wyatt. Now, a lot of people always comment and say, hey, where is Devonte Wyatt? Why aren't we seeing much of Devonte Wyatt? Now, given this is 7 total snaps, so there is an asterisk here, right? But he was the highest graded Packer on defense in 7 snaps with a 90.7 and a 90.7 pass rush with the 1 total pressure. Next up, Kenny Clark, who has been an absolute beast all year. Through 3 games, he actually is the highest rated pass rushing defensive lineman in the entire NFL over Aaron Donald, with 87.4 grade here, 78.7 pass rush grade, 3 total pressures, and 2 sacks yesterday. Kenny Clark was a monster yesterday. In my preview for this game, I pretty much said, hey, they need to attack Luke Goedeke. Kenny Clark needs to attack Luke Goedeke, and I believe at least one of his sacks was on Goedeke, and they did exactly that, and Kenny Clark easily won that matchup. Next on this list was Eric Stokes, which we'll go into the exact coverages later, how many receptions each of these defensive backs let up, but Eric Stokes was easily the best. Tom Brady really did not go his way. He let up 1 reception, but we'll go more into depth on that. But a 75.9 grade here. Then we have Rasul Douglas, the next best corner. I really liked what I saw from him moving outside once Jair got hurt, 75.3. Dean Lowry, 71.5. Rashawn Gary, 67.1. Adrian Amos, 66.7. Devondre Campbell, 65.5. Kingsley Enagbare, 65.1. TJ Slayton, 61.5. Shamar Jean-Charles, 61.5. And then if we flip all the way down to the bottom, we do see Quay Walker here with a 36.3. Now, I know a lot of people were commenting and saying he looked like he was out of place a lot of the time. He did force that fumble, though, so I don't see how he has this low of a grade, although he might have been out of position a few times. He only allowed 3 receptions for 48 yards. So there was a 16, yards per reception there, which is definitely the case why his coverage grade is so low at a 45.1. But his run defense being a 33.9 pretty much shows that maybe he wasn't in the best position to defend the run, but the Buccaneers didn't really run well to begin with. I think 12 carries and a 2.7 average for Leonard Fournette, something of that sort. So not a real worry here. I liked what I saw from Quay Walker yesterday. Sure, maybe it wasn't his best game. I think his best game was against the Bears last week. But still, I still like what I saw. We saw some A-gap pressures from him. He had a 79.5 tackle grade. I don't necessarily agree with this 36.3. Then we see Jair Alexander, only 6 snaps, allowed the 1 catch, and then hurt his groin. So we're just going to go right over that grade. John Garvin, 45.9, saw 12 snaps. Darnell Savage, a 51.8. With all 65 snaps. I thought he played a little bit better than the last 2 weeks, but still a 51.8 grade. Preston Smith, a 55.7 with 0 pressures and 0 sacks. Kind of a quiet game for Preston, which usually he does really well. And then we see Keyshawn Nixon here. A lot of people were saying, oh, this guy is like the next coming of Rasul. I think we got to pump the brakes a little bit. Although he did fill in wonderfully and, forced that fumble, had 6 tackles, didn't miss a tackle, was really good, tackling after the catch was made. He did allow a lot of receptions, which, again, we'll get into here in a second. As you see, that 82.8 tackle grade. He's a great tackler, but the slot receiver, Russell Gage, which isn't a crazy good wide receiver in the NFL. He's decent, easily was beating Keyshawn Nixon pretty much all day. So definitely something to worry about there if Jair is out for a while. I think he can fill in, and I like what I saw from Rasul on outside with Stokes, but I don't think he's, the next coming of Rasul by any means. But, hey, could prove us wrong, definitely. And then Jerron Reed, a 61.2. All right, now moving into the coverage matchups, like I said, we see Keyshawn Nixon here. He allowed 8 receptions on 9 targets for 81 yards, 10.1 yards per reception. We see allowed 5 receptions on 5 targets to Russell Gage, 1 on Darden, 1 on Fournette, and 1 on Scotty Miller. And the 1 pass that wasn't completed was to Brashad Perriman. So like I'm saying, I'm not saying he didn't fill in well. The dude got thrown into the fire. It's his first game really playing this amount of snaps. He played 87.7% of snaps. So in that regard, yes, he did well, but this might be a whole different story if the Buccaneers have their top 3 wide receivers in the game. If Chris Godwin's in the slot against Keyshawn Nixon, I think we're looking at an even worse result here. But we'll see exactly how this goes down through the next couple of weeks. If Jair is out next game or the next few, we really don't know right now. But I thought he filled in well for what he had to do, especially in the tackling game, like I said, but a little bit of a worry there in coverage. And then we see Rasul Douglas here, 5 receptions on 8 targets for only 41 yards. Nice little coverage there. Did allow 5 receptions, but 2 on Cole Beasley. Those were quick outs, and he was, playing a cover 3 zone, so you can't really say much on that. Darnell Savage only allowed 2 receptions on 5 targets for 8 yards. So that's a good improvement there for him. Quay Walker, like I said, 3 receptions on 3 targets for 48 yards. That's why, his coverage grade was so bad at 16 yards per reception. Adrian Amos, 2 for 2, 8 yards. And then we go down to Eric Stokes, which I wanted to talk about. He had a wonderful game. He definitely was the Packers' best cornerback, definitely stepped up into that, number 1 cornerback role, allowed 1 reception on 1 target for 6 yards to Brashad Perriman. He played excellent yesterday. All right, so now moving over to the offensive side. Obviously, that first half, that offense looked amazing. Scored 14 points, or was about to score 21, and then Aaron Jones with the fumble on the goal line, forced by Vita Vea. But the main story was the second half, the staleness of that offense, and scoring no points in the second half. Luckily, the defense did their job and won that game on that 2-point conversion there, because the offense wasn't helping them at all in the second half. But getting into the grades, Randall Cobb, highest graded player on offense, 81.8. I loved what I saw from Randall Cobb. He looked like prime 2014 Cobb, making dudes miss after the catch. I believe he had 3 receptions. We'll go into the exact yardage here in a bit. But number 2, Romeo Doubs. I think one of the main headlines from yesterday's game on offense, if there was one, was Romeo Doubs. 74.8 grade here. He looked like the real deal. He saw, 35 passing snaps, which was the most for all wide receivers. He actually saw 2 more passing snaps than Al Lazard, so that's definitely something to monitor. I mean, Romeo Doubs deserves to start going forward. This was the most, I think, targets and receptions a receiver has had other than Devontae Adams in a long time. So, especially for a rookie, he was a couple, I think 1 or 2 away from the Packers' rookie record for receptions in a game. Romeo Doubs looked great out there. He reminds me so much of Greg Jennings, just his quickness, his ability to get open, the ability to gain yards after the catch. Really liked what I saw from him. I want to see him on the field going forward. He looked great. Aaron Rodgers, a 70.3. Alan Lazard, 69.1. Tyler Davis, 68.4. He had a decent game. Elton Jenkins, 66.7. Royce Newman, 66.3. Bakhtiari came back, played every other drive with Yosh Nijman, played really well, which we'll go into the blocking here in a second. 64.0. Josh Myers, 61.4. Jake Hansen, 60.0, filled in for 3 snaps at center. Amari Rodgers, only 3 snaps on offense, and just, didn't. I don't know what's going on with Amari Rodgers, but only 3 snaps, 59.0. And then if we go to the bottom, John Runyon, not a good game, 46.5. Yosh Nijman, 53.0. A.J. Dillon, not a good game, 54.1. Juwan Winfrey, 54.5. Josiah DeGuara, 54.5, and Aaron Jones, 55.5, and then Robert Tonyan, 55.7. And if we quickly go into the matchups for receivers, Romeo Doubs, 8 targets, 8 receptions, 73 yards, and his first touchdown of his NFL career. Had 1 reception on Levante David, had 3 receptions on Jameel Dean, had 1 on Edwards, had 1 on Davis, 1 on Nelson, and 1 on Shaq Barrett. So he went a perfect 8 for 8 there, had a really, really nice game. And then Randall Cobb, 2 receptions on 2 targets for that 57 yards, that 1 long reception of 40 yards, and also that other third down reception, that quick hitch to the right side. Made the one guy miss, got the first down against Carlton Davis, and then Devin White on that deep post where, he kept it skinny, adjusted his route a little bit. Aaron Rodgers found him over the middle, gained 40 yards there. Really liked what I saw from Randall Cobb in the limited action he saw yesterday. Now moving on to the offensive line, more in depth with the blocking. David Bakhtiari was the highest graded pass blocking lineman on the Packers last night. Now, only 17 pass blocking snaps, and we'll see how he feels this entire week. If his knee gets a lot of fluid in it, that's going to be, the main issue here. But he looked great. I mean, for being out, 600 plus days, wasn't sure what to expect. Obviously, we found out in game that him and Josh Nijmer were switching every other drive, which I get. But in the drives he was in there, he looked great. Only allowed one pressure, 78.7 pass block grade, 55.7 run block grade, but the run game wasn't really good at all to begin with. And then we see Jake Hansen, next best lineman, but only 3 snaps. Josh Myers, 71.5 pass block grade. Royce Newman, 55.5. Elton Jenkins, 53.2. And then if we go down to Josh Nijman, 45.1. He allowed 1 pressure. Elton Jenkins allowed 3 pressures, as did Royce Newman. Royce Newman allowed that 1 sack, the one time Aaron Rodgers did get sacked. As for run blocking, Elton Jenkins was the best run blocking offensive lineman last night, 72.2. And then Royce Newman was number 2. I liked Royce Newman last night. I think he played decently well. Although he did allow the 1 sack and 3 pressures, I thought he played better than he did typically last year, and that might be the case of having Elton Jenkins next to him, but he's not all that bad. I do still believe Zach Tom is the answer at right guard and should be the, starting right guard of the future, but he's not terrible. He's not, too bad there, and he's holding his own at least, so we'll see what happens going forward, whether or not Zach Tom ends up starting or whatever happens there. But that about does it for the Week 3 PFF grades for the Green Bay Packers. Their win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 14-12. That was just a wild game. I mean, you can't really be a Packers fan and not have high blood pressure at the end of a game, because that definitely was the case. I mean, they drove right down the field, and I wasn't even mad at the defense because the offense didn't do them any justice, didn't really give them much rest. The Bucs drove right down the field, scored, got that delay game, that crucial delay game on that 2-point conversion. I don't know if Fournette would have ran that in or not, but moved back 5 yards, and the Packers knew that play that was coming, that corner route to Russell Gage. Darnell Savage, good coverage, and then, Devondre Campbell climbing the ladder to tip that ball, break that ball up, and end the game. But yeah, really liked what I saw from the defense. Offense has a lot to figure out still, but overall, a very, very impressive win regardless in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers, one of the best teams in the NFC, and likely will be, one of the competitors come playoff time. But that about does it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please leave a like down below, and also go subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, if you want more Packers news, analysis, and updates every single day. But that about does it for this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.